Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take sources you send us and, well, really dig into them. Today, we're looking at the Garmin Instinct 3 AMOLED smartwatch. We've got a review from the 5K runner, plus some official Garmin info and a bit on what makes a good review generally.
That's right. We had a listener asking about this specific watch, the Instinct 3 AMOLED, wanting to know if it's, the real deal for outdoorsy stuff.
Yeah,
So we're going to unpack this review and give you the key stuff. Think of it as your quick guide to what matters with this watch.
exactly. And this is for you, our listener, the learner, who wants that solid understanding fast, those aha moments, without getting totally buried in specs.
Right.
So the Instinct 3 AMOLED, it's billed as this rugged GPS smartwatch. The 5K runner took it out, tested it. Our mission, pull out the essentials so you can figure out if it's the right fit for your adventures or even just daily life. Focus is definitely on the AMOLED version based on this review.
Okay, so the review kicks off with a pretty vivid story, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
It sets up this scenario in the Lake District comparing the Instinct 3 solar model, which is related, to an Apple Watch Ultra.
Ah, the battery life comparison. Classic Garmin territory.
Totally. The story goes, the friend's Apple Watch conked out after just 2 days. But the Instinct 3 Solar kept trucking, apparently thanks to the sun.
Right.
The message is pretty clear. Garmin's pushing reliability and long battery life for the outdoors. That's like their big selling point against some others.
It's a strong hook, and it's good. The reviewer adds that disclaimer, that it's illustrative, not like a documented scientific test.
Definitely.
But yeah, it tees up the whole battery conversation, which is massive for anyone looking at this kind of watch.
Absolutely critical. Okay, so anecdote aside, let's talk actual navigation.
Yeah.
How does this thing help you find your way? Because the review, well, it raises some concerns here. Specifically, the lack of on-device maps. The reviewer called it somewhat worrisome for a modern outdoor GPS watch.
And that's a fair point, isn't it? I mean, we might have managed without maps on watches years ago, but now it's almost expected in this category.
Yeah, it feels like table stakes for many.
And the Instinct 3 AMOLED, despite being, a dedicated outdoor watch, doesn't have them, not built in on the wrist.
Okay, so no maps. For you listening, wondering, well, how do I navigate then?
Yeah.
What features does it actually have? The review mentions things like breadcrumb routes.
Right, so it shows you a line where you've been or a preloaded route as just a line of dots.
Point-to-point navigation.
Yep, head towards a saved coordinate. Basic.
Back.
Which guides you back the way you came. It's a safety net, really. If you wander off your path slightly, it helps you get back onto that recorded line. Good for not getting totally lost.
And a compass, obviously.
Digital compass, yeah. Your
Yeah.
basic direction finding.
So the reviewer took these features and really tested them out in different places. And this is where the limitations kind of show up. First, a hike on the South Downs Way. Pretty well-marked trail. And here, the watch was okay. Mostly just logging the GPS track distance elevation.
Yeah, on a clear path with signs everywhere, you don't need a map quite as much. The breadcrumb can sort of keep you honest.
But then, a bike ride. London's Capital Ring. Urban route, also marked, but they still got lost. Multiple times.
Ah.
Apparently, even with turn alerts on, the breadcrumb trail just wasn't clear enough when paths split. And cycling is faster, right? Easy to miss a turn.
That really highlights the weakness, doesn't it? When things get a bit complex or you're moving fast, just a line of dots, it doesn't give you that instant, oh, that's that path feeling. You lack situational awareness.
Then the real test.
Yeah.
Deliberately trying to navigate unfamiliar woods. Devil's Punch Bowl.
Okay.
Tried a shortcut, ran into a barbed wire fence almost. And the reviewer basically said they didn't feel confident they could reliably get back to their planned route using just the watch.
And that's the scenario, right? When you have to adapt, go off plan, maybe find an alternative. Without a map showing the terrain, the other paths, it's much harder. You lose that bigger picture.
They even compared it directly with a Garmin Forerunner 965, which has maps on the North Downs Way.
Ah, the side-by-side.
Yeah. And they kept wishing they had the map visuals, the terrain detail that the Instinct 3 AMOLED just couldn't show. So they even preferred the map on an Apple Watch using a third-party app.
That tells you a lot. It's just a fundamentally different, often more intuitive experience navigating with a map right there, especially when things get tricky.
Okay, but Garmin does have the Explore app.
Yeah.
How does that fit in? Does it fix the map problem?
Well, yes and no. The Explorer app on your phone lets you plan routes, view detailed maps offline, sync waypoints to the watch. It's useful for planning, but those detailed maps stay on your phone screen. The watch itself still just shows the breadcrumb line for navigation.
Gotcha. So for you listening, don't think the app magically puts maps on the Instinct 3 AMOLED's display for navigation. It's more of a companion tool.
Precisely. It helps beforehand or if you pull out your phone, not real-time map navigation on the wrist itself.
The review also mentions third-party apps like Komoot or DWMP from Garmin's Connect IQ store. Can they add maps?
They can, yeah. Some apps manage to overlay map data.
Okay, sounds promising.
But there's often a catch. Using these third-party map apps usually means you have to run their activity mode, not Garmin's built-in one.
Oh, so you might lose out on Garmin's own metrics, like training load, recovery stuff.
Exactly. You trade Garmin's deeper ecosystem integration for that third-party map display. It's a compromise.
Right. Okay, let's pivot slightly. Based on the review, what are the absolute key decision factors if you're considering this watch? Number one seems pretty obvious by now.
Maps, or the lack thereof. It's fundamental. If you need or just really want maps on your wrist for navigating outdoors, the Instinct 3 AMOLED probably isn't your watch.
And the reviewer suggested alternatives.
Yeah, things like Garmin's own Phoenix series, the Sun2 Race S, maybe even the Amazfit T-Rex 3, which surprisingly does have maps, often for less money.
Interesting. Okay, factor number two. The balance between battery, screen, and budget. It's not just one Instinct 3, is it?
No, Garmin's clever here. They've got options within the Instinct 3 family. There's the Instinct 3 Solar.
One from the anecdote.
Right. That aims for potentially forever battery, but, relies heavily on lots of sunshine.
Then the AMOLED, our main focus today.
Which gives you that really nice, bright, colorful screen, looks great, but uses more battery than the others.
And there's an E model.
Yeah, the Instinct E, more basic, essential features, hits a lower price point. So it's like Expedition battery, solar, pretty screen, AMOLED, or budget basics.
In different sizes too, right? 40 millimeter, 45 millimeter, 50 millimeter cases.
Yep, various sizes, though not every model comes in every size.
Yeah.
The AMOLED, for instance, is 45 millimeters, 50 millimeters. The E is 40 millimeters or 45 millimeter. You need to check the specific combo you want is actually available.
Good tip. Let's talk about that screen difference more. AMOLED versus MIP. That's the tech in the Solar and E models.
Correct. MIP is memory and pixel. The big difference you'd notice. AMOLED is higher resolution, much brighter, more vivid colors, makes watch faces, charts, everything looks sharper, more modern.
But uses more power.
Definitely. MIP screens aren't as flashy, lower resolution, but they sip battery power and are super readable in direct sunlight, often without needing a backlight.
The reviewer liked the AMOLED screen, though.
Yeah, they found it a big visual upgrade for the Instinct line, makes the whole interface just look nicer.
But it's ironic, isn't it? You get this beautiful high-res AMOLED screen,
Mm-hmm.
but the one thing that could really benefit from high-resolution detailed maps isn't actually there for navigation.
Exactly. The reviewer points that out explicitly. You get a screen capable of showing great maps, but the watch itself lacks the mapping software and data. So the AMOLED benefit is more for, well, everything else, the watch faces, the data screens, widgets.
Right. Okay, so even without maps, what navigation features do you get across all Instinct 3 models? For you listening, what's the baseline?
All right, baseline features include multi-GNSS, support GPS, GLONASS, Galileo for better positioning.
Okay.
You get trackback, point-to-point. You can mark and save waypoints, record your tracks. There's weather info, a barometric altimeter for elevation, and a compass.
Also saw things like future elevation profiles, distance to destination.
Yep, turn-by-turn alerts if you've loaded a course beforehand, course importing, sight and go, lets you point at something distant and navigate towards it.
Storm alerts.
Storm alerts based on pressure changes, yeah. Plus elevation metrics, area calculations, sun-moon times, tide info. It's a decent list of non-map-based tools.
So quite a lot still. But how does that stack up against, say, a Phoenix? What's missing besides the actual Mac display?
Well, most of the missing stuff relies on having maps. So no built-in topo maps or ski maps like on Phoenix. No ability to create a route right there on the watch. No Climb Pro, which analyzes upcoming climbs on a loaded route. No round-trip routing suggestions. No features like Next Fork or Up Ahead that use map data to tell you what's coming on the trail. It's all the map intelligence features that are absent.
Got it. Let's talk battery life again, specifically for the Instinct 3 AMOLED. What did the review say about its performance?
It mentioned the different modes. Smartwatch mode, which is your everyday use.
With the always-on display?
Yeah, likely factoring that in. Then GPS-only mode for tracking activities and expedition mode, which sips power by sampling GPS less often for really long trips.
And the performance.
Interestingly, the reviewer found that, at least when the watch was new, the actual battery life they got often beat Garmin's official specs.
Oh, that's always nice to hear.
Definitely better than the other way around.
Now, you mentioned the solar model earlier and its unlimited battery potential. The review touched on the caveats there.
It did. While focusing on the AMOLED, it acknowledged the solar's claim but stressed the strings attached. That unlimited really depends on ideal solar conditions. Consistent, strong sunlight.
So not guaranteed, especially if you live somewhere less sunny.
Exactly. Or in winter. Solar extends the battery, sometimes significantly, but unlimited is optimistic for most real-world year-round use. It supplements, doesn't totally replace charging for most people.
Okay, usability. How does the Instinct 3 AMOLED actually feel to use day-to-day? What did the reviewer think?
Positives were, it's lightweight but feels tough, durable. Screen readability was good.
Downsides.
The main niggle seemed to be the buttons. Apparently, they can be a bit fiddly to press accurately when you're wearing gloves.
That could be annoying in the cold.
Could be. Also, the software interface, Garmin's menus and settings, while powerful, can apparently feel a bit dense or complex if you're totally new to Garmin watches. There's a learning curve.
What about the built-in flashlight? That's new for the Instinct 3 line, right?
Yeah, all models have it, including the AMOLED. It's an LED light. Multiple brightness levels for white light, plus a red light mode.
Useful.
Surprisingly so, according to the review. Good for finding stuff in a dark tent, rooting around in a bag, even basic navigation on a trail at night in a pinch. A genuinely handy addition.
And that AMOLED screen, we know it doesn't show maps. But how else does it impact the experience? Watch faces, widgets?
It makes them look much better, obviously.
Yeah.
More detail, more color. Data displays like heart rate charts during a run look richer.
Huh?
But yeah, the reviewer keeps circling back. It's a great screen without the killer app of onboard mapping.
This isn't the first Instinct, of course.
Yeah.
Can you give us the quick history? Where does the Instinct 3 AMOLED fit in the evolution? For you listening, if you're new to the series.
Sure. So the original Instinct launched back in 2018. It was meant to be this tougher, more affordable Phoenix alternative. Then came variations, tactical, camo, even an esports version, surf editions. Instinct 2 brought improvements. Solar options became more prominent with the 2X solar. There was the crossover, a hybrid analog-digital thing.
And now Instinct 3. What are the big leaps from Instinct 2 to 3?
Key upgrades are, obviously, the AMOLED screen option we're discussing, new muscle maps and animations if you do strength training.
Okay.
They actually removed that little secondary circular display that older Instincts had, at least on the AMOLED. Better solar efficiency on the solar models. SAT-EQ tech for smarter battery-saving satellite selection. The flashlight we mentioned.
Garmin Pay?
Garmin Pay is now included, yep. Contactless payments. Share and messenger features for watch-to-watch communication, a large font mode option, sleep coach features, better training load insights. It's a decent step up in features across the board.
Any hints about the future? Music. Instinct 4.
The review speculated a bit. Maybe a software update could bring music storage or playback to the Instinct 3 AMOLED down the line. Pure guesswork, though.
And Instinct 4.
Looking further out, based on Garmin's usual cycles, the reviewer thought maybe 2027 for an Instinct 4. And the big hope, that it finally gets maps. Maybe better speaker dynamic too? 5G seemed unlikely, though.
Okay, competition. The review was pretty blunt, saying the Instinct 3 AMOLED is not the best value for money. Who else should people be looking at?
Yeah, it faces heat from all sides. You've got the traditional rivals like Suntooth or Race S or Vertical have maps, Polar's Vantage M3.
Other Garmin's?
Definitely. You might find an older Phoenix 7 or an Epix Gen 2 or a Forerunner 955 around the same price now, and those do have maps and often more features. Even older Instinct 2 models might be good value if you don't need the latest stuff.
In the newer brands?
Challenger brands like Amazfit, their T-Rex 3 was mentioned as having maps for potentially less money. Coros has strong outdoor watches too, like the Pace Pro or their Vertex line.
Even smartwatches.
Yeah, the review mentioned an Apple Watch SE paired with a specific app like Work Outdoors could offer some basic mapping, though maybe not the same ruggedness or battery life. So lots of options depending on your priorities.
Accuracy is key for these watches. How did the Instinct 3 AMOLED perform in the 5K runners tests? Heart rate.
Heart rate was rated sufficiently accurate for lower intensity stuff like hiking, but could struggle a bit in the cold or during really hard efforts. They even saw some missed readings on a short, intense run.
So for serious athletes?
The usual advice applies. Pair it with a chest strap or maybe an optical armband for the best accuracy during tough workouts.
Okay. What about elevation?
Elevation accuracy was generally good. Uses the barometric altimeter.
In GPS, that's crucial.
GNSS was actually a strong point. Very good accuracy, ranked among the top performers in their testing pool. That's good news.
Sleep tracking.
Decent for the basics, total sleep time, that kind of thing. But less precise, apparently, when it came to breaking down the different sleep stages, like REM, deep sleep. Common issue with wrist-based tracking.
And battery life, we touched on it, but just to confirm the finding.
Often better than the official specs, especially when the watch is brand new.
Any red flags? Bugs? Manufacturing issues mentioned?
The review suggested checking Garmin's own forums for any launch bugs, always sensible with new tech. And they did specifically call out a manufacturing defect seen on some units of the Solar model where a small secondary display wasn't aligned properly. Worth keeping an eye out for user reports.
All right, wrapping up. The review had an FAQ section and a final takeout. What are the absolute must-knows for our listeners from that?
Well, the FAQ hammered home the core points. Like, again, no full onboard maps. Simple as that.
And the reviewer's final verdict.
They appreciated the design, the rugged feel, the improvements like the screen and sensor accuracy, but the price, combined with that lack of maps, was seen as a major sticking point for a watch aimed at navigation.
So it was good for them.
Probably best suited for the more casual outdoor user, someone who likes the look, wants the durability and fitness tracking, but primarily uses their phone for serious navigation or sticks to well-marked trails.
And less suitable for.
Less ideal for the serious hiker, mountaineer, or trail runner who relies heavily on their watch for standalone navigation in complex terrain. For them, the map limitation is hard to overlook, especially given the competition.
The reviewer also mentioned Garmin's ecosystem.
Yeah, suggesting that brand loyalty and users already invested in Garmin Connect probably help sales, even with the limitations. User inertia is powerful.
Okay, so let's distill this deep dive. For you, the learner, listening in, what's the bottom line on the Garmin Instinct 3 AMOLED based on this review?
Bottom line, it's a tough, good-looking watch. The AMOLED screen is vibrant. Battery life is solid for an AMOLED watch. GPS accuracy is great. Fitness tracking is comprehensive. But the huge caveat, especially for its price and outdoor positioning, is the absence of onboard maps. Many competitors offer them, even some older Garmins do.
So it feels like it's potentially great for someone who wants a rugged fitness watch with basic navigation aids and maybe uses their phone with the Explorer app for anything more complex.
That sums it up pretty well, I think. If you need standalone on-wrist mapping for serious exploring, this probably isn't the one.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on.
Right. Considering how smartwatches are evolving and how vital navigation is for outdoor pursuits, is Garmin's choice to leave maps off a mid to high tier watch like the Instinct 3 AMOLED? Is that a deliberate move to segment their market? Protect the Fenix line, maybe?
Or is it just a missed opportunity? A gap that leaves the door wide open for competitors who are putting maps on similarly priced, rugged watches. Something to think about based on your own adventures and what you need from a device on your wrist.